Hello, and welcome to Time Between Times Storytelling. I'm back to the weekly schedule after a really busy Christmas, but I hope you enjoyed the tales, the short tales that came bouncing at you every day. It's still the dark of winter. It's still the time for storytelling. So let's get ready, sit back and enjoy the tales as they come. Some of you may have noticed that I did a small piece on History Hack podcast this week. If you want to check that out, please do. I'm a semi-regular guest there and really enjoy telling tales to a wide audience. So please, if you want to download History Hack, you will see me, well not see me, you will hear me telling tales on that podcast. Sit back, relax, let your cares drift away and join me for just a few moments at the time between times. The time when it is neither night nor day, but the sun has gone and the sky is grey. Join me at the time when the veil between our world and the fairy world is wafer thin. So thin that for just a few moments they can step into our world, and for a few moments we can step into their world. This is the time that people see ghosts. This is the time that people see lights in the sky. This is the time of fairy, the time of song, the time of tales, the time of the Tylwyth Teg. And here in Wales we have a great tradition of the Tylwyth Teg, as regular watchers of this channel will know. They're not the sort of people you mess with. They're not the sort of people that you trick. They're not the sort of people that you refuse hospitality, oh no. For to get on the wrong side of the Tylwyth Teg can make things very difficult indeed. As it did in today's tale. So, relax. Join our growing numbers at the fireplace. Far away in the forest we can hear the howl of wolves. We can hear the growl of bears. But we know we are safe right here at the time between times. Let me tell you of the tale of Grace's Well. Many, many years ago in the heart of Wales, where the mountains are so high they reach to the sky like shining towers. Sometimes they are topped by snow, and we have lakes as straight as a mirror. It is a beautiful place. But many years ago, there was a well. And that well was looked after by a lady called Grace. What few people knew is that it was a fairy well, and that the fairies would take their water from there every day, and Grace had been blessed by the fairies, the Tylwyth Teg, to look after it at all times, to never leave it. And her main job, her one job, her important job, was to make sure that every night that well was closed, so that no water could escape. For it was magical, and it belonged to the Tylwyth Teg. Grace had done this for many years, throughout her childhood until she became a young woman. Every night, when she'd finished her chores, she had a little secret and would wander up the winding path, through the forest and outside, to the well. And there at the time between times, the time when it is neither night nor day, but the sun had gone and the sky was grey, she would put the cover on the well, just as the sun started to set on the day. But one night, her mind was full of other things. One night, as she wandered the winding path, she was distracted by something else. Flowers growing in the forest. She thought they would look good on her windowsill. So she walked into the forest and picked the flowers one after the other, putting them in a bouquet. And then she forgot about the well, turned round, went back to her house, arranged them in the window, and they looked splendid, just as the sun started to set. And that night she went to sleep, and that night she forgot all about her task. And that night something terrible happened. For the well was not covered, and the water started to rise and rise and rise and rise, until it poured out of the top of the well and started to run down the mountains. It ran down the mountain, through the forest, over the fields, a great gush of water, and covered one of the fairy rings, drowning it completely. The fairies panicked and fled. The Tylwyth Teg flew to the sky and took to their tunnels, and all escaped unharmed. But in the morning, when Grace awoke, there was a great lake where once there had been fields. This, indeed, was a terrible thing, and the Tylwyth Teg would not forget. Grace fled in fear, but could not run far enough. And that night, as she slept under a tree on her way to the nearest town, the Tylwyth Teg took hold of her, took her back to the lake, and turned her into a swan, and let her drift out onto the lake. And every night, at the time between times, the swan would be seen, swimming its lonely way across the lake that was now known as Glasfryn Lake, Grace's Lake. 60 years she was cursed to circle around clockwise, never anti-clockwise, in the lake, swimming every night as the sun dropped behind the mountains. And people would come from miles around just to watch her do this. The single swan, the only one that lived upon the lake. But after 60 years, the swan vanished. But now it is said, if you go to Glasfryn Lake, you will see 2 hours after midnight, a lady dressed in white, wading through the lake, up to her waist. She dives under the water, puts her head in the water and rises up like a swan, and walks from one side of the lake to the other before vanishing in the woods nearby. This place is now called Caerladi, Ladies' Field. And that is the story. So if you go to Glasfryn Lake and stay 2 hours after midnight and have the patience to sit there and look out across the lake, you will see Grace as she wanders from one end to the other, paying the price for the night that she forgot to close the well. And that, my friends, is the tale of Grace's Well. Diolch yn fawr. Thank you for listening. Please take care. These are still strange times, but there is a new year coming, a year full of tales, and I will continue to tell them. So thank you for joining me here at the time between times. The time is neither night nor day, but the sun has gone and the sky is grey. Thank you for listening to the tale, and thank you for subscribing, for liking. If you have any questions, you can write to me at owenstaton@aol.com. You can get me on Twitter, Owen S. Griffiths, or type in Owen Staton, and my name will be there. Thank you very much. Take care, and please don't forget to put the lid on the lake, on the well even. Don't forget to turn off the tap, whatever. There be doom either way. No star.